Hi there, welcome back to CSEC English B Paper 2 Solutions with Miss Athalie. Today, we will be focusing on another question from Section B. In my previous video, I explained the difference between question 3 and 4. In question 3, you are given two specific poems to write about, and in question 4, you are able to choose your own poems, but they must focus on the theme provided. Last week, we looked at a typical question 3, and we will be tackling a typical question 4 today. This question is taken from the May 2019 paper. You may pause the video to read the question. Like I explained in my last video, the first step is to break the question down. You may do this by highlighting the different parts or circling, underlining, whatever you prefer. After that, read the quote provided, then pause to think about it for a while. Do you understand it? What poems come to mind? What do you remember about them? Next, look at what you're being asked to do. You must focus on the desire to escape in two poems. Once you have understood that, you move on to the next sentence. For each poem, you must describe the situation from which the speaker desires to escape. After that, you must also discuss the conclusion one speaker arrives at concerning the situation. Make sure you pay attention to the wording. Finally, for each poem, you must examine one device each poet uses to explore the desire to escape. The last part of the question will always ask about devices, so make sure you know them. Now it's time to put on our thinking caps and choose our poems. Here is the list of 20 poems on the prescribed list. If you are writing the exam in 2022, Orchids, God's Grandeur, and Theme for English B are on your list. If you are writing the exam in 2023, you do not need to learn these poems. They are not on your list. Instead, a lesson for this Sunday, Landscape Painter, Jamaica, and Death Be Not Proud are on your list. For now, we will focus on the poems that both groups have in common. So these ones. I have highlighted the poems which feature speakers who would like to escape a particular situation. While you are brainstorming, you will probably think about more than two poems. You should choose the ones you are able to recall the best. I've decided to go with Dreaming Black Boy and Old Higue. If you don't remember these poems, pause the video and go read them. Okay, let's move on. So let's gather our ideas. Last week I showed you this cloud and I'm going to use it again. In the middle, I'm going to write desire to escape because this is what the essay is mostly concerned about. Here are the three aspects I must focus on, so I'm going to write them around the cloud. Then I'm going to focus on each one. What do the speakers desire to escape from? In Dreaming Black Boy, the speaker wants to escape from the discrimination he is faced with at school and in society. In Old Higue, the speaker wants to escape the harsh realities of her life as a soucouyant. She also wants to escape having to take the blame for murdered babies. Right, so we have our situations here. Then we're able to move on to the next part. I have to focus on the conclusion one speaker arrives at. I chose the speaker from Dreaming Black Boy. And his conclusion, well, he comes to the realization that he cannot escape. He has accepted his fate. And finally, the devices. In Dreaming Black Boy, we have contrast. In Old Higue, we have the rhetorical question. Remember that you should write at least 5 paragraphs. You can devote 1 paragraph to each section. You must also have an introduction and a conclusion. So our next step is to write, and then after that you must proofread. This step is extremely important to ensure that you have not made any careless errors. Read the essay to yourself. Does it make sense? Are you impressed? Are you happy with it? If not, you need to make any necessary improvements. Make sure that your subjects agree with the verbs. Make sure that you have included correct punctuation, all of that. So here is the final product. I will read through it, but feel free to pause the video to read it yourself. If you look at the comments on the right, the essay has been organized into 5 main parts, just like we discussed. So it goes. In life, people sometimes experience unfavorable circumstances which they would like to escape. 2 poems which focus on this theme are Dreaming Black Boy by James Berry and Old Higue by Mark McWatt. The speaker in Dreaming Black Boy desires to escape a racially segregated society, while the speaker in Old Higue wants to escape the reality she faces as a soucouyant. While their situations are different, they reach a similar conclusion, which is the acceptance of their fate. Each poet uses a different device to explore the speaker's desires to escape. This part is very important. It's your introduction. Do not skip it. Do not just get straight into answering the question. So now we're going to read part 1, the situation from which the speaker desires to escape. Now, some writers may choose to split this into 2 and discuss Dreaming Black Boy and Old Higue separately, but I put them together. It depends on you, really. The poems both focus on people who are uncomfortable with their current situations and desire to escape. In Dreaming Black Boy, the speaker is a young black student who is experiencing the harsh effects of racial discrimination in the United States of America. Throughout, it is clear that he is extremely uncomfortable. He emphasizes this by highlighting his wishes to be educated to the best of tune-up and to go on every crisscross way of the globe without being discriminated against because of the color of his skin. He wants to escape a society which expects him to sing to lick boots and to fulfill other stereotypical roles. Similarly, the speaker in Old Higue desires to escape the hardship she faces as a soucouyant who relies on fresh baby blood in order to survive. From the very beginning, we are made aware that she would prefer a different life. She refers to her nightly routine as stupidness and goes on to highlight its many disadvantages, like the pain of assault and having to bend these old bones down. She also wants to stop being blamed every time a mother has murderous intentions towards her young. We move on to the second part. Both speakers arrive at a similar conclusion concerning their situations. Now, this is just a transition. I am not going to speak about both of them. I'm focusing only on Dreaming Black Boy, right? The speaker in Dreaming Black Boy comes to terms with the idea that he will never be able to escape his circumstances. He appears to be aware that his wishes are unattainable, and he concludes by stating, "I wish nobody would want to earn the terrible burden I can suffer." He hopes that others will not have to experience the discrimination he suffers. James Berry and Mark McWatt both creatively incorporate literary devices into their writing to explore the speaker's desires to escape. Berry uses contrast, the boy's great ambition and the way society views him are strikingly different. This also emphasizes the great hopelessness he feels. Mark McWatt uses rhetorical questions. For example, the Old Higue says, "You think I wouldn't rather take my blood seasoned in fat black pudding like everyone else?" Through these questions, we are made aware that the Old Higue is unhappy with her situation and that an escape from it all would be ideal. Don't forget your conclusion. We've discussed every part, but we must close it off. And I have a very short paragraph here. You just have to recap. Both poems deal with speakers who are faced with situations they would like to escape. Unfortunately, they have no choice but to accept their respective fates. The poet's creative use of literary devices helps readers to develop a clear understanding of the speaker's plights. And we are done. Remember not to introduce any new information in the conclusion. You just close it off very neatly. Easy, right? Well, like I said in the last video, if not, this channel is here to help. And as you continue practicing, you continue writing essays, you will improve. So, next week we will move on to prose fiction. We will be focusing on this question from the May 2019 paper. If you feel like writing the essay, you can email it to ingbsolutions@gmail.com and I'll mark it for you. So stay tuned, make sure you hit the notification bell if you want to know when we release another video, and I will see you next time.